హలో వ్యూవర్స్, మనం జనరల్ ఎస్సే సిరీస్ చూస్తున్నాం. దానిలో ఫస్ట్ టాపిక్ ఆల్రెడీ డిస్కస్ చేసాం, దట్ ఈస్ కాంటెంపరీ సోషల్ ఇష్యూస్, సోషల్ ఛాలెంజెస్ అనేది చూసాము. ఇది సెకండ్ టాపిక్. దీనిలో మనం ఇష్యూస్ ఆఫ్ ఎకనామిక్ గ్రోత్ అండ్ జస్టిస్. సో ఈ టాపిక్లో మనం విల్ సీ 2 మోడల్ ఎస్సేస్ చూద్దాము. దీనిలో ఫస్ట్ మోడల్ ఎస్సే ఈస్ there is no social justice without economic prosperity, and economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. This is one of the model in regard to understanding economic growth and justice. So first ఈ టాపిక్ని అర్థం చేసుకోవడానికి ట్రై చేద్దాం. అసలు ఎకనామిక్ గ్రోత్ అంటే ఏంటి, జస్టిస్ అంటే ఏంటి. సో మనకి పేపర్లో క్వశ్చన్స్ రావడానికి ఎలా, వాట్ ఈస్ ద ప్రాబబిలిటీ in which way these questions can be asked in this paper. So in that context, basically questions can be asked in regard to the issues of economic growth and the interplay with the justice. For example, economic growth undi. What is this economic growth and how it can lead to differences in the income, that is income inequality, and also economic growth, if it is not balanced, it may lead to regional inequalities. So you might have heard about this topic or this slogan, rich becoming richer, poor becoming poorer. So why this problem of rich becoming richer, poor becoming poorer is happening anedi chuste meeru. So basically this problem is happening because this economic growth is not balanced. This economic growth is నాట్ టేకింగ్ ఇన్ టు ద ఆస్పెక్ట్ ఆఫ్ జస్టిస్. మీరు ఎప్పుడైతే ఈ జస్టిస్ అనే ఆస్పెక్ట్ని మనం ఎకనామిక్ గ్రోత్లో ఇంక్లూడ్ చేయమో అప్పుడు యూ విల్ హ్యావ్ దిస్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్కమ్ ఇన్ఈక్వాలిటీస్, రీజనల్ ఇన్ఈక్వాలిటీస్, అండర్ డెవలప్మెంట్ ఇన్ వన్ ఏరియా బికమింగ్ రిచ్. So that is why we see sometimes this question of India versus Bharat. India is growing whereas Bharat is still underdeveloped. It is not developing to the tune of economic growth. Also there is other issue in regard to economic growth and justice, where we see economic growth is happening but consequently human development is not happening. That is why you see we are the 5th largest economy in the world, but if you look at the human development indices in India, we are among the least developed. So that is around 130 out of the rank of human development indices of India in the world is around 130 out of 180 nations. So this is also an aspect of justice, where we are having economic growth but the consequent human development is not happening. So in that context, let's try to understand what is this growth, what is its relation to development, and what is its interplay with the justice, how the growth and justice interact and interdependent in regard to development. So in that aspect we are seeing a model question, that is, there is no social justice without economic prosperity. Economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. So let's try to understand this essay. See, you can start with a quote or a anecdote. I have taken this quote of Ambedkar, the architect of Indian Constitution, remarked, political democracy cannot last unless there lies a base of it, social democracy. So you cannot have social democracy, or you cannot have real political democracy without social democracy. For you to have social democracy, you need to have justice, social justice. So in that context you need to talk about this. So first understand the interplay between social justice and economic prosperity. So this question is asking about there can be no social justice without economic prosperity, but economic prosperity without social justice is meaningful. So there are 2 aspects. First aspect is you cannot have no social justice can happen without economic prosperity. Second aspect, promoting economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. So social justice is not at all possible if you don't have economic prosperity. At the same time, if you only promote economic prosperity without taking or without having social justice, it is meaningless. So let's understand the interplay between social justice and economic prosperity. First, social justice and enti. Social justice means ensuring fair and equitable distribution of all the resources, opportunities and privileges to all the sections. So when you distribute the available resources, available opportunities and available privileges fairly among all the people, then it is called as social justice. When there is equity in the society, when everyone in the society equally participates in the distribution of resources, in taking the opportunities, in taking the privileges, then you can say that it is a situation of social justice. So first understand what is a social justice, then understand what is economic prosperity. Economic prosperity is nothing but everyone getting wealth, etc., increasing their income levels, per capita income. This is your economic prosperity. Having development, having growth is creation of wealth, is an aspect of economic prosperity. So this is your economic prosperity. Now let's understand the relation between these two concepts is symbiotic. Symbiotic means one is helping the other. Social justice versus economic prosperity. Economic prosperity helps in social justice and social justice is important for economic prosperity. Yes, sometimes you can see economic prosperity happening without social justice. Yes, there can be a situation where you can see or where you can experience economic prosperity without social justice. But will that be sustainable? No. When you have economic prosperity without social justice, it will not be sustainable. We'll see why it will not be sustainable. But first understand the relation between the both economic prosperity and social justice is symbiotic. Without social justice, economic prosperity is hollow. It is empty and it is exclusionary. It is excluding certain sections, certain people, certain regions in the process. Also, without economic prosperity, social justice, the goal of social justice is unattainable. So if you don't have economic prosperity, if you don't have creation of wealth, then the goal of realizing this social justice is not possible. That is the dynamics between the concept of social justice and the economic prosperity. In this topic, we have to understand, see, the topic of the essay is economic, or the topic, the bigger topic is economic growth and justice. This is the topic given by TGPSC in the syllabus, understanding economic growth and justice. In that we have streamlined this topic, economic prosperity and social justice. So the similar relation between whatever is the relation between social justice and economic prosperity also lies between the justice and economic growth. The same symbiotic relation exists between the economic growth and social justice. So when you understand the relation between economic prosperity and social justice, you will also get to understand the relation between economic growth and the justice. So this is a symbiotic relation, one helping the other. This social justice helps economic prosperity helps social justice. How and why, we will see. Economic prosperity and social justice, the global and Indian context. So globally, economic growth has lifted millions out of poverty particularly. So if you take the global and Indian context, what is happening? Economic prosperity is actually helping in regard to addressing the problem of poverty. Whether you take in India or China, it has lifted millions of people from the status of poverty, from the underdevelopment, from the hunger, etc. So definitely it is helping the nation's economic prosperity. So if you take the World Bank report and even the IMF report or Oxfam report, what is happening? Economic growth is happening, but this is leading to income inequality. This is leading to concentration of wealth across the nations, across the world also. You see, this is the problem of income inequality is happening. In specific to India, Oxfam report has come out and said that the top 1% holds the 40% of the wealth, and the bottom 50% of the population holds only 3% of the wealth. So you see how the wealth is concentrated in few hands. The top percent, the top richest 1% of the population in India is holding 40% of the wealth, and whereas the bottom 50% of the Indian population is holding only 3% of the wealth. So economic prosperity is happening without ensuring social justice. It is leading to the concentration of wealth, it is leading to income inequalities, it is leading to wealth inequalities, it is leading to regional imbalances, it is leading to regional imbalances in regard to development. So this is your understanding of what is happening in regard to economic prosperity and social justice. Let's understand the problems or the challenges to social justice in the absence of economic prosperity. See, now we are trying to understand the relation between social justice and economic prosperity. What is the relation between social justice and economic prosperity? In that context, let's understand what are the challenges to this social justice in the absence of economic prosperity. So, can we ensure social justice? Can we realize this social justice when you don't have economic prosperity? Already we have seen social justice is not possible without economic prosperity. Why and how? We will see. See, without economic prosperity, social justice remains a distant dream. First understand what is social justice. Social justice means justice, that is fairness in regard to society, where all the population or all the different sections, all people sections enjoy certain facilities. So when all the sections of the society enjoy certain benefits like access to food, access to health, access to education, access to sanitation, then you can say that there is a social justice. No one is deprived of basic necessities. So understand what is social justice. Social justice is a status or a state where everyone, all the sections of the society have access to basic needs, basic amenities. When everyone in the society gets access to these basic needs, then you can say that there is a social justice. Then if there's no such availability, when people are deprived of these basic amenities, when you see a lot of poverty, when you see lack of health care, when you see lack of education, when you see lack of access to food, hunger is there. So if that situation is there, then you cannot say that situation is the status of social justice. Then you say that there is no social justice in the society. When you see these things happening, when people access these basic amenities, basic services, then you can say it is a status of social justice. But to achieve this social justice, how can you achieve this social justice? How can you ensure food security? How can you ensure health care? How can you ensure good education, quality education, or other basic services, for example, social security to the old age, work for the poor? How can you ensure all these things? These are all your aspects of social justice. But how can you ensure food security? How can you implement National Food Security Act? How can you ensure health care? How can you ensure good education to the people? You can ensure this only when you have economic prosperity. If you don't have economic prosperity, that is, if you don't have creation of wealth, then you cannot really provide these services to the people. So in that context, you understand that economic prosperity becomes the base for social justice. See, this is the base. Economic prosperity is the base for social justice. Only when you have economic prosperity, that is creation of wealth, only then you will eventually realize social justice. So this is the first understanding of the relation between economic prosperity and social justice. When you create wealth, when economic prosperity happens, when there is economic growth, when there is increase in GDP, then only there is a possibility for social justice. So this is the first aspect of the essay. Let's understand the second aspect, the importance of social justice for the sustainable economic prosperity. So first of all, we have understood the importance of economic prosperity to the social justice. Social justice untene economic prosperity untene social justice anedi possible avutadi anedi mundu slide lo ardham cheskunnam. Now ఇప్పుడు ఏం అర్థం చేసుకుందామంటే, హౌ ఈస్ సోషల్ జస్టిస్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఫర్ యువర్ ఎకనామిక్ ప్రాస్పరిటీ. ముందు ఎకనామిక్ ప్రాస్పరిటీ యొక్క ఇంపార్టెన్స్ టు ద సోషల్ జస్టిస్ అనేది అర్థం చేసుకున్నాం. ఇప్పుడు సోషల్ జస్టిస్ యొక్క ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఏంటి ఎకనామిక్ ప్రాస్పరిటీకి అనేది అర్థం చేసుకుందాం. The importance of social justice for sustainable economic prosperity. At the same time, economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. So essay lo kuda em chepparu, economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless because it fails to create inclusive growth. See, you are having, assume that you are having good economic prosperity. Prosperity is there. This creation of wealth is happening, but in this creation of wealth, in this economic prosperity, in this GDP growth that is happening, is there social justice anedi unda deenlo anedi ardham cheskondi. Ippudu if you don't have social justice, that is, even though there is growth, there is development, or even though there is growth, creation of wealth is there, but it is benefiting only few sections ankondi. If it is benefiting only few sections of this society, then it leads to non-inclusive growth, or it leads to the issue of concentration of wealth. That is what the Oxfam report is saying, that the top 1% is holding the 40% of the wealth. This is the issue. If you have economic prosperity without ensuring social justice, then leads to concentration of wealth. And this is the example from Oxfam report, that is first the top 1% is holding 40% of the wealth. So now the essay is saying that this is meaningless, this is hollow, this is exclusionary. Why? Because basically it is not sustainable. If you have economic prosperity without social justice, it is not sustainable. Why? Because see, in the history, if you see, wherever you have prosperity, wealth which is concentrated in few hands, it has eventually led to revolutions and has stopped or hindered this process of creating prosperity. You see why Naxalism has come in India and even in Telangana, why there's 1946 Telangana armed struggle, why there is 1978 80 Jagityala Sirsila anti-landlord struggles, and then after that rise of Naxalism in Telangana, because there is concentration of wealth in the few hands, and that concentration of wealth in few hands is meaningless because it is not sustainable. Eventually this kind of economic prosperity will eventually lead to revolutions in the society. It will lead to societies where crime increases, where revolution increases, where the extreme ideologies become attractable to the people. That is why people turn towards these extreme mentalities, extreme ideologies, eventually undermining the growth process, eventually undermining this creation of wealth. That is why we are saying that economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless, is hollow and exclusionary. So let's understand see, that is the rise of left-wing extremism, underdevelopment in underdeveloped and marginalized areas is a direct result of economic inequality and social injustice. Rise of left-wing extremism, Naxalism is only one example, but if you see in the world, if you take French Revolution, whether you take Russian Revolution, or whether you take any other bigger revolutions, they happened because there is concentration of wealth, because there is no social justice. When you don't have social justice, it will eventually lead to revolutions undermining the growth process. So that is the relation between the economic prosperity and the need for social justice in that process of economic prosperity. Now let's understand the key areas to address equitable growth. So how to, having understood the relation between economic prosperity and social justice, let's understand the steps, the process, the mechanisms, the policies, the legal and other measures that are needed to ensure equitable growth. So first of all, you need to focus on ensuring people get good education, skill development, and then proper health care. That is why the central government and the state government are taking different mechanisms. For example, 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏 𝗪𝗏 at the state, at the national level, skill development, national skill development program, policies, missions, etc. Even Telangana government is taking many steps to promote task and other. Even recently, skill university is being brought in by Telangana government to promote this skill development. And also in education also we are trying to promote the midday meal scheme, basically trying to promote 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏 𝗪𝗏𝗏 to the full extent. Okay, even healthcare, 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏, even Ayushman Bharat at the central level, 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏 at state level. So different governments are taking different mechanisms, policies to promote this issue of to promote this concept of social justice by bringing all these different social mechanisms, social welfare schemes through which we are trying to promote social justice. Healthcare, Ayushman Bharat, 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏, etc. is being promoted. So gender equality. So gender equality is also an aspect of social justice. So what are we trying to do to promote this gender equality? Then social safety nets, you see Asara pensions, etc. were being promoted or are being given to the vulnerable sections, the disabled, the old age, etc. So why are we giving this? This is a process of promoting social justice. Even the central government is promoting this, state government is promoting this. So this is also an aspect of promoting social justice. Recent policy initiatives, national education policy, the Telangana government, etc. is also, Telangana government has also recently taken many measures. Just now I've talked about creating skill university. Earlier government was focusing on task and other things. So even the recent governments are promoting nutrition in regard to promoting breakfast, giving breakfast to the students. So this is also a recent measure. Okay, the different Abhaya Hastam is also, you can say that, an aspect of social justice where we are trying to provide farmers, benefits to farmers, women, etc., the poor, etc. So you can talk about all this in regard to what the government has done in recent times to promote this aspect of social justice. So also eventually you need to talk about the sustainable development goals, how this process of economic prosperity and social justice eventually leads to the realization of social sustainable development goals, like for example SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, and SDG 10, reduced inequalities. So also you can bring the other social sustainable development goals like sustainable development goal 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. can be brought in to talk about this aspect. So eventually you talk about the conclusion. You can bring a quote. I've used one of the Amartya Sen's quote. A Nobel laureate Amartya Sen once said, "Development is not just about expanding incomes, but about expanding freedoms and removing inequality." So what is development? It is not about just expanding the incomes. As per Amartya Sen, development is not just about increasing incomes, but it should also lead to increasing freedoms of the individuals, adding choices, and eventually removing inequalities. They should be given the remove inequalities, give them freedoms, give them choices. Basically, he talks about increasing their capabilities and functionalities of the people. So, see the conclusion. You need to talk about the bigger aspect in the conclusion. Economic prosperity and social justice are two sides of the same coin. They both are connected, and each is incomplete without the other. So, if you have one without the other, they are incomplete. For India to realize its full potential, economic growth must be inclusive. It should be inclusive. It is inclusive growth, addressing the needs of the poorest and most marginalized sections of the society. That is, when you have economic growth, all the vulnerable sections of the society, whether it is SCs, STs, backward castes, whether it is women, whether it is disabled, transgenders, everyone should take part in the process of this economic growth. They should take part in the process of sharing the prosperity. Only when everyone shares the fruits of the development and shares the fruits of prosperity, only then you can think that it is a inclusive growth. So, both are interconnected. That is what you need to talk. At the same time, achieving social justice requires a foundation of economic prosperity that enables investments in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. So, you talk about that, and then only by addressing these dual challenges can we ensure a future where economic development is meaningful, sustainable, and just for all. This is one example of essay in regard to the economic growth and economic growth and justice. So, we are trying to see and understand the topic given in general essay of TGPSC, economic growth and social and justice. We have seen one model essay in this topic. We will see one more model essay in this on this topic in the next session. Thank you.